Hey friends, Pastor Chad here again with our Port Naz devotional series, continuing on walking through the Sermon on the Mount, and we moved into a new chapter, into a new section of this sermon throughout Matthew in chapter 6, verses 1 through 8. Today is entitled, the caption over this portion of Scripture is giving, or giving to the needy. The better question is, why do you give anything? Why do you give yourself to your family or to your work or to sports or to music or to the TV or whatever? Why do you give yourself to anything? I know I had a long dialogue with a friend years past when we were talking about when the church does things or when I do things or as a follower of Christ, when I give of myself. Do I give of myself with expectations of it to return back to me? Or if I give of this, I expect this back. We used to talk to our kids about when you ask or tell someone sorry, that you aren't to expect it back, because that in turn is kind of putting a foundation of strings attached. That when I say sorry, or I give something, or I give of my possessions, or I give of my time, that I expect something back. But sometimes we have to be reminded that we need to give ourselves with no strings attached. Whether it's in my apology, whether it's in my tithes or my offerings to the church, I don't do these things in order to receive something back. I do them because to give of God, to give to God what is His. We are completely and entirely God's. And I get to give myself. I get to give my finances. I get to give my time, as Pastor Mark often says, my time, my treasure, and my talent. That I freely give it without strings attached, that I can give of myself. I always told my kids that they were to give of themselves, their talents and their time as a platform to show Christ to others. And to begin to do that without trying to expect things back, or have that benefit of, if I give this, then I expect to receive that. Today in verse 1 it says this, in chapter 6, be careful not to do acts of righteousness before men or women to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that when you give to in secret, then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. When you give of yourself, when you give of whatever you're going to give to somebody else, don't try to just show it off and show everybody how great I am. Just give. If you see someone in need on the side of the road and you want to help change the tire, help change the tire, because it's a way of a platform. It's a way of an opportunity to share your faith, even if it's through your actions. That we are the hands and feet of Christ. And when we give, we're giving as the hands and feet of Christ, not to always receive back. Just this morning, today, a few things I wanted to share with you. Times that has just been such a blessing to me. When we were young, my wife and I, we got married, and we were youth pastors in Idaho. And I remember we just didn't have much finances left. I was still finishing up some schooling, and my wife was working, and we were just scraping the bottom of the barrel often to receive food for our dinner and different things. We had enough, but it was not easy. I remember there was a day that we received groceries on our doorstep, just sitting there. And someone just said, thought you might need this. And it was such an act of kindness of a person who probably knew that we probably needed it, but they just did it to love on us. There was another time, the same area, still in Idaho, where I was racing around and I broke the axle of my Jeep Cherokee. And I was kind of sliding around, and snow had hit, and it was a wonderful time, and I did one too many turns around a corner and hit a curb and broke the axle. And I went and took it to a Les Schwab in Nampa, Idaho, and it was maybe about $700 to fix this axle, and I didn't know what we were going to do, but we had to do it. And I went home and I told my wife I messed up, and we were going to figure it out. And I remember going to that Les Schwab, and I went in to fix or pay for my fixed axle, and the bill was paid for. Today, still, I have no idea who did it. Somebody just wanted to love on us and care for us. What it meant to me was that somebody was looking out for me and loved me. I knew it was somebody in my part of my church. I just know it was. And they saw us as a young youth pastor, and we had done stuff for them, and they just wanted to love on us. And in turn, it reminded me just to be the same to others, just to love on them. Today, I'm gonna challenge you in a world that needs it more than ever. Give of yourself. Do it without strings attached. Think about someone in your life today you can just give to. They may never know. True love is not about us understanding that we always receive things back. True love is the sacrifice we do for others when they will never know about it. This is what Christ does on the cross for us. He loves us in such a way that he gives us himself. He sacrifices his life. And I will never physically know him on earth the way that the disciples did. But his sacrifice was for me too. How will I sacrifice my life for others? How will you do that as well? Today, give yourself to others. Use your talents, your treasures, and your abilities as a platform to love on others, to give to the needy, whoever that needy might be, and to express the very hands and feet of Christ. You can do this, and I can do this, my friends. Let's do this together and show Porterville and the world beyond the love of Christ without strings attached. God bless.